Are you bored with mashed potatoes? How about potato soup? What's the difference? One's wetter than the other. And the word soup. Today on Poor Choices, we're taking potatoes to the next state of matter with this loaded potato soup. Bacon, cheese, sour cream, anything you want in a baked potato now fits in a bowl. It's an easy dish and can be a great change of pace for your winter soup game. Starting out, I've got about 8 to 10 white potatoes. I was actually looking for Yukon Gold, but this is all the store had for whatever reason. I live near a very interesting grocery store, to say the least. You can also use russet potatoes, and that was my backup plan, but having never used white potatoes, I wanted to give it a try, and they did not disappoint. So I gave them a peeling and then diced them into about 1-inch cubes and got them into cold water so they didn't start turning brown while I worked on the others. Not only will it prevent browning, but it'll also get rid of some of the excess starch that could be in these potatoes. Now, get you a Dutch oven that hopefully doesn't look like mine, because I was an idiot and put mine on the grill during a video, not thinking about the consequences. Don't worry, a good scrubbing will get the rest of these off. But as for everything we're going to be putting into the soup, think of this loaded potato soup as just a loaded baked potato. Everything you want in that, you can certainly put in here. So I won't bore you with all the chopping and stuff. After all, you're probably watching this video mid-cook right now because you forgot what I did the first time you watched this. So to a Dutch oven, I'm adding in a whole pack of diced bacon, and I'll cook it till it's done so we can render out that delicious bacon fat. Don't try to do this with turkey bacon, it just doesn't have enough fat. You'd be better off just skipping this and using an oil and butter combination. No shade to turkey bacon, I eat it almost every morning, but for this dish, it ain't gonna work. So get that bacon cooked up nicely and scoop it all out with a slotted spoon and onto a paper towel so we leave behind that bacon fat. And try to be a little thorough here so you don't end up with burnt bacon bits left behind as you continue cooking. Next goes in a full cup of diced yellow onion, and we'll saute that in the bacon fat until translucent. We'll then add in 1 tablespoon or 2 if you like garlic like me, of freshly minced garlic. I ran this through my garlic press, but you can knife it up if you want. I'm avoiding the jarred stuff here. Next in is 4 tablespoons of butter. Get that nice and melted in the pot, and once it's melted, add in half a cup of all-purpose flour. So we'll start to create a roux here. Get all the flour mixed in, and you'll know you're ready for that next step when that raw flour smell goes away. You don't want a mouthful of raw flour left behind, so get the size of that pot too. Make sure it's all incorporated. Next, we'll add in 4 cups of chicken stock, and I used a homemade one here that was so rich with flavor, but any store-bought will work too. Just try to get a good one. It is one of the main components of flavor in this dish, so you don't want to skimp out on it. Also, my chicken stock was unsalted when I made it, so I can make it a little bit more versatile for other dishes. So just keep in mind if you're using a salted stock or an unsalted stock, as you'll want to control your salt levels throughout this cook. And if you just want to play it safe, go with an unsalted stock. Mix that in, and then we'll add in 1 cup of whole milk and 1 cup of half and half. Stir it up and let it come to a simmer. Once it's reached the simmer, I'll gently add in our diced potatoes. I'm using this handy dandy spider to load in so hot liquid doesn't splatter everywhere. Next, let's add in our seasoning. Now you can go a number of ways, just regular salt and pepper or occasion seasoning, Old Bay, Lawry's, whatever your heart desires. I'm using this Heath Riles everyday seasoning, which is an all-purpose seasoning blend of salt, pepper, garlic, and onion. I'd say this was maybe a tablespoon's worth. You can always go light and season again later. I'm also going to add a bay leaf in here because anytime I'm simmering something, I usually add one because I do like the subtle flavor of one. You can totally leave it out if you want to. Then I'll leave the lid of the Dutch oven slightly off and let it simmer away for about 45 minutes. What we want is fork tender potatoes. So maybe 20 minutes in, check it for tenderness, and if it's not ready, let it go another 20. The reason to check midway is because you maybe diced your potatoes super small and they cook faster, or maybe you need even more than 45 minutes because you cut the potatoes too big. Again, 1/2-inch cubes is what we're looking for. And keeping them uniform ensures they all cook and finish at the same time. Now I'm removing the bay leaf and using my hand blender, which is an amazing device to have because we could transfer this mixture to a blender, but then we'd be handling super hot liquid, and that could create not only a mess in the transfer process, but a hazardous situation when we're putting hot liquid into a blender. So this hand blender does an amazing work, and this is honestly up to you how creamy or chunky you want it to be. I like mine on the creamy side. So now that I've got that blended, I'm gonna add in 2 cups of freshly shredded sharp cheddar cheese off the block. We'll also add in a 1/3 cup of sour cream, and lastly, about 3/4 of our cooked bacon from earlier. Once the cheese has melted into the soup, you can kill the heat. Then you just need to salt and pepper to taste. Don't skip this and think you're done just because you got to the end of it. You wanna salt it, stir it, taste it, salt it, stir it, taste it, etc. Then, when it tastes just right, you can enjoy. If you've ever had a bland soup, most of the time it's because you just didn't have enough salt in it. Remember, we put a lot of liquid in here. And that, my friends, is potato soup. Wetter mashed potatoes for us uncultured people. But on a cold night, this is really delicious and a hearty meal. And yes, soups can be meals. Top it with some more bacon, maybe some garlic bread like I did here, and some green onions, more cheese and sour cream to really achieve the loaded aspect of this here loaded potato soup. Hey everybody, this has been Poor Choices Kitchen. We have a Patreon linked down in the description. $1 a month is all we ask for to pay for these recipes in these here inflated times. And I was enjoying copious, and I mean copious amounts of white wine when I was cooking this recipe, in case you're trying to keep track of my poor choices here. Other than that, enjoy this recipe. This is a great way to kind of switch up things for Thanksgiving. Maybe you're tired of doing mashed potatoes, but you want something kind of mashed potato-y. I don't know, it's your family, you know what to do. But either way, you're gonna love this.